L'année 2015 a vraiment été riche en succès. Tesla continue son développement et elle continue également en France, puisque nous avons ouvert l'année dernière de nouvelles implantations à Bordeaux, Lyon, Chambourcy et Aix-en-Provence. Nous avons livré il y a quelques semaines de cela la millième Model S et notre réseau de superchargeurs continue de s'étendre et comporte dès aujourd'hui 29 stations et 144 bornes de recharge en France. Vous le savez, et j'ai plaisir à le rappeler à chacun de nos événements, nous construisons cette aventure avec vous, et sans vous, nous n'en serions pas ce que...
Welcome to France! Bravo! Welcome to France!
I want to say, first of all, thank you very much for coming out tonight and for your support of Tesla. The only reason Tesla is successful at all is because of people like you. Exactly. Tesla gets a lot of attention in the press and everything, but as you guys know, we're a small company. We made 50,000 cars last year. That's 0.5% as many cars as, say, Toyota, General Motors, or VW. So really, the reason we are able to make progress and keep growing is with the support of people like you. So you guys are really integral to making it happen. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you!
Isn't working.
That is my mic. Oh, okay, that's better.
Yes, much better. Few words in French.
Well, in high school, I've always been a big fan of France, actually. Because it's great. But in high school you had to pick a foreign language. In South Africa where I was growing up, and my choice was French. Yeah. So high school French, which comes back to me slowly. But it's usually being able to say things like "Mon crayon est jaune," "Mon perroquet s'appelle Spanish." That kind of thing. True, I do. Actually, Paris was the first place I ever visited outside of South Africa. My father brought me here when I was 6 years old. So I've loved Paris for a long time. This is probably my 50th trip. And so it's been a while. Like I said, thanks for all your support. I can give you sort of a general update on the company and kind of where things are headed, and then I'd love to just get into a dialogue, just back and forth. Hit me with questions, whatever questions you have in your mind, and I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability without hopefully creating some silly news headline. It's just having quite a lot. So where we are right now.
Microphone.
Okay. So we've got the Model S in production at about 1,000 units a week, and we're trying to ramp up the Model X to roughly a comparable number of 1,000 units a week, and hopefully we should be at that production level around, close to maybe sometime in Q2 of this year. So for those of you who have a Model X on order, I'm expecting, you may be wondering, where's my car coming? I think it's probably this summer is the most likely outcome. So I think the Model X, the Model X is...
much better.
Is this better?
Yeah. Much better.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm not sure that anyone should have built or designed this car because it's so difficult to make. But I think for those of you who do get it, you're really going to love it. I think it's something special. Well, the honest answer is I think the X is a better SUV than the S is a sedan. Yeah, so it's quite remarkable. I don't know if you saw the Model X demo, we drove two cars really close together, and you can open the Falcon Wing doors no problem.
Yeah, I have seen that. It was just a question of control. If you have sensors, but
I've seen the French parking lots. 1.90 meter limit.
Yeah, but it's designed to work in very tight spots. So I think it should work pretty well. And then, of course, there's the summon and unsummon capability. So if you don't want to park the car yourself, you can basically you can just have the car park. Yeah. Sorry, and I'll get bogged down in little questions, but let's see. So anyway, just going over the big picture, Model X production. In terms of significant deliveries this summer in Europe, then the Model 3 is under development. I'm pretty happy with how that's turning out. We're going to constrain the number of new features in the Model 3 compared to, say, the X in order to avoid repeating the same mistake. So we'll have, with each successive year, we'll introduce more things into the Model 3 as opposed to trying to pile it all in one year. We're trying to stay as close as possible to our end 2017 start of production. But based on where we are now, I feel really good about the Model 3. I think people are going to love that car. And then another big push is towards autonomy. Making the autopilot features more and more capable. Oh, sorry. So making the autopilot features more and more capable. I'm not sure how many people here have used autopilot.
Oh, yeah.
all the time.
Okay, great. Yeah. So did you notice improvements going to 7.1?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, so I think even with the current hardware suite, I think we'll see significant improvements to the autopilot. Basically, what it'll be capable of doing is near perfect control on freeways, even where there's no cars, and near perfect control in any traffic situation where it's tracking a vehicle. So that's yeah, maybe a different one. Hello? Yeah, so that's going to get better. One of the things we're also working on is the mapping solution. And if I seem a little ragged, by the way, it's that I literally had 1 hour of sleep in the last 48 hours. Sorry. So I think that result is, basically in about 2 years we should have Model 3 plus full autonomy. Yeah, which would be, I think, quite transformative.
So 3 will have autopilot. What do you mean by all future testers?
Yeah.
It doesn't work so well in the countryside.
The current autopilot does not work on windy roads in the countryside.
Early years.
What do you mean by full autonomy?
Yeah, full autonomy, yes.
No human intervention required.
Okay.
More than the
Human
shield?
intervention optional.
Parce qu'à Fontainebleau, c'est parce que nous avons-
Probably 2 years, worst case 3 years. That's a different. Regulatory approval is a separate track, but in terms of if it being technologically done, it's in the 2 to 3 year time frame. And then we've got the Tesla Powerwall and Powerpack. We have a lot of trials underway right now around the world. seeing very good results, and then we're expecting to come out with a version 2 of a version.
You gotta keep it close.
Okay. Feels like I'm ready. Feels like I'm gonna eat the mic. We'll be coming out with version 2 of the Powerwall probably around July, August this year, which will see a further step change in capabilities. Yeah, at a high level, that's kind of where things are. I'm happy to answer questions sort of in rapid fire succession.
Questions, yeah. Hello. You allow me to jump in? Thank you very much for getting here. You can help.
Ça marche pas. Ça marche pas.
Ça marche pas, ça marche pas.
Thank you, Elan. We are really honored to have you there. We have owners from all across France, as you can see, and I'm sure most of them would like to ask you a few questions. I have team members in the room with some microphones, so I'm just going to call the team members with the microphones because you are lots of people tonight. So if we can start with Maeva, please, for the first question.
And let me anticipate at least what one of the questions will be is, when will there be supercharger coverage completely around France?
Yeah.
No, that is slated for no later than June. So by June of this year, you should be able to travel anywhere in France, anywhere within France, and really almost anywhere in Western Europe using the Tesla supercharger network.
Great, thank you.
Just yell the question.
Say it out.
Maeva, vous êtes avec le micro, s'il vous plaît.
Ici, Olivier.
Demande la question, hein. Vous allez rater la place pour Maïva.
Pardon me?
The island of Napoleon. The island of Napoleon, Corse.
Yeah.
When? Sorry, Napoleon. Small island.
Yeah. No idea on that.
Next time.
Yeah.
So it's over there. Please go ahead, Maeva.
Mr. Hamilton. So I let you go.
Good evening. First of all, thanks for having us and for sharing your vision. My question is about mirroring of smartphone in the car. You talked about that a while ago, and then you talked about it again a few days ago.
Yes.
So could you elaborate a bit on your vision on that, and when can we expect to have it?
So I think sometime later this year, like maybe middle of this year, is when I would. So when can we have phone mirroring on the screen? I think around the middle of this year. It's harder than it seems. Like the interfaces to the iPhone and Android are not as good as we'd like. They can project a screen, but they're not so good at projecting a touch interface as well. So you'll be able to see it, but not touch it. But I do think that's the logical way to go, because otherwise, to expect an app developer community to develop for a few 100,000 customers is when there's hundreds of millions on iPhone and Android is online, just not going to happen.
It's going to be okay.
Yeah, I do think that the honest answer is that the dramatic drop in oil prices will have some negative effect on electric vehicle sales of all types. I think it'll have the smallest effect on Tesla because we have, I think, a highly differentiated product. Whereas what, say, Nissan and Chevy do is they have an electric product that's pretty hard to tell the difference between the electric and the gasoline or petrol product. So if the economics don't favor the electric in that case, and there's no product differentiation, they're unlikely to buy the electric.
When will we see pictures of Model 3?
The first pictures of Model 3 will be end of March. Yeah, but I'm being a little coy here. We're not going to show everything about Model 3 until a lot closer to production time.
Can you give us some details?
No.
Elon, I got Three questions. So welcome in France. We got a saying in France, impossible is not French. So 3 impossible questions to you. First question, when the supercharger will be accessible to every car manufacturer? Will you open the access of supercharger to other car manufacturer? First question. Second question, everybody in France knows Gilbert Passin and Jérôme Guillen. We are very proud of them. Very proud of Sexton. What will be the key factor for you to create an R&D and design center in France? And why not a factory such as Fremont in France? So 3 impossible questions.
Sorry, unfortunately I was adjusting my mic, so I missed a second. Just say that again.
First, supercharger open to every manufacturer.
So supercharger open to everyone. This is something that we've stated publicly. The goal of the Tesla supercharger system is definitely not to create some special walled garden or to have a sort of a competitive edge against other companies. The philosophy of Tesla is very consistent. We want to do anything we can to help the advent of sustainable transport. So our network is open to any other manufacturers that want to use it.
Okay.
Yeah. And we will be adding the European standard plug as well. So they don't have to have a Tesla adapter. So we'll have a mixture of Tesla adapters and the EU standard plug. I don't love the plug, honestly. I went to the EU commissioner myself and said, this plug is enormous and does not look good. Not change that.
So the 2 questions, our French question is what will be, or convince you what the key factors of the policy of Tesla Motors to create a second R&D and design center here in France, because we have very good engineer. Second, we got a huge factory north of Paris, in center of the Europe. Why not produce car in France? I've heard you want to produce car in Germany, Holland. What are the problems in your mind about France? Why not producing in France?
Sure. So let me just speak in general terms, because let me tell you what happens is, I engage in sort of why not put a factory in France?
Yes.
Okay. Well, right now we only have 1 factory. So then the question is, where do we put our next factories for expansion? The logical thing to do, this is, I don't think any new information that I'm saying. There'll probably still be some newspaper headline about it. The obvious thing to do is to establish a factory in China and a factory in Europe. Now we have a sort of smallish factory in the Netherlands, but to do large-scale manufacturing, like on the order of 1 million units a year type of factory, we'll need a much bigger area of land, access to a large employee base, and I don't know, try to make as many countries in Europe happy as possible. So, this is idle speculation, but it's well, maybe we could put a factory on in Alsace, and it's half in Germany and half in France or something like that.
So,
this is not a prediction.
Thank you very much.
It's just sort of spitballing here.
So,
but the bottom line is, it makes total sense to there's an incredible talent pool of production expertise and engineering expertise and design expertise in Europe in automotive. Actually, I think it's a deeper and richer pool than in the United States. So
why not?
So we are going to do it.
Thank you. Impossible is not French. Come to France.
No, we're definitely going to have both engineering and production in Europe long term. It's just a question of when. So.
And how?
Yeah, how and the details and whatnot. But I think it's a natural thing. It's crazy to make tons of cars in California and ship them all the way over to Europe. It's like,
You have the space over there.
Okay, yeah.
Thank
Question upside. Thank you very much.
To improve the charging time, to shorten the charging time?
Yeah, so charging time is limited by a number of variables. there's the cell chemistry, there's the internal wiring of the car, and then there's the actual power output of the supercharger. So when the first superchargers that we started out with were 90 kilowatt hour, then we went to 120 kilowatt hour, and now they're 135. And I think we'll probably see them going towards maybe 180 to 200. But what tends to happen with battery chemistry is that you exponent.
Micro.
So it's like transmitting from the bottom. Is that better? Okay.
German microphone. Volkswagen microphone.
I should just go with the lapel mic. The cell chemistry gets incrementally harder. It almost becomes exponential as you decrease the charge time. The way to think of it is like you have these little lithium ions looking for a parking spot. That's basically what's happening. And so they're like zooming around and looking for a parking spot. When the battery is empty, it's easier to find a spot. And as the battery gets full, there's fewer and fewer spots. But if you keep jamming them in real hard, then they smash into each other and have accidents. Basically what happens. Like going from, say, a 20-minute charge time to a 15-minute charge time is actually a huge difference. I think we'll really be aiming for charge times that are in the 15 to 20-minute time frame, but with enough range that you'd be driving for 4 hours or something like that before you need to stop for 15, 20 minutes. Which I think is like, unless you're torturing yourself, you really want to get out of the car after 4 hours.
Do you think it would be possible to use the battery as a power wall?
Sorry, the what?
Do you think it would be possible to use the battery nevertheless as a power wall?
Oh, yeah, so you certainly could, in principle, turn your car into kind of an emergency power source for your house. The very early prototype versions of Roadster actually did allow that capability. What we found though was that it created quite a lot of complexity on the house side, and if you didn't know when the car was going to be pumping energy into the house, it could be dangerous for electricians and potentially pump too much energy. It really wasn't designed for being a backup power source. And then of course, if somebody wants to drive the car, then all the lights would go out in the house. So I think the right thing to do is actually have stationary battery packs in conjunction with the electric car.
So, what can we expect in terms of range for the Model S, for example, within 2 years?
And, 2 years?
I mean, for the Model S existing now, are you able
how much range do you want?
1,000.
In February.
That's a serious question. How much range do you want?
700 kilometers.
Yeah.
800
kilometers.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It's a child.
Optional battery pack.
Paris to the Alps.
Extra battery. Ready to pay.
Yeah, the challenge is like, as you have a bigger and bigger battery pack, then when you're not doing the long distance trip, you're hauling around all that mass for no reason. So we want to find a happy medium between what you really need for convenience of recharging and for doing long distance trips, but not have so much battery capacity that it's almost never used. But we've toyed around with certain ideas, like for example having a trailer with an auxiliary battery pack, like a little camper trailer with an auxiliary battery pack.
Rooftop?
Something like that might work. I think just naturally expanding the Model S battery pack size, once you start getting up above 500 kilometers, 550, I mean, it's really do you need more than that? It's pretty unlikely. So you can expect to see steady increases in battery capacity over time.
Did you think about putting a solar panel on the top of the roof in order to recharge the car better?
Yeah, we thought about the solar panels on the roof. The actual area of the roof would really be quite a small amount. So it would take a long time to recharge the car if you just had solar panels on the roof.
But it would help to go further. No, it would not.
No, it's the. If you look at the square, you say like, what is the area, and then how much direct sunlight does the car get? So as we park outside in a non-shaded situation, and then you might get 2 to 3 square meters, which would be maybe 600 watts of charging at peak time.
So nothing.
Yeah. Let's see. So Summit in Europe. Whereas in the US, we can pretty much like roll out Summit, and as long as it's not done on public property, it can be done. In Europe, even if it's on private property, it requires explicit approval from the regulators. So we're working with RDW, which is the main regulatory agency we work with, and to define the precise limitations of summon that they will find acceptable. Currently, the way that the law is written, or the regulations are written, summon isn't technically allowed. So we've got to figure out ways to meet the intent of the regulations. So one way of saying, I think summon will roll out in about 2 or 3 weeks. But that time frame is not within our control. It's up to the regulators.
I know you're a great interpreter, and we do appreciate that. We do appreciate the fact that you invite us here. It's amazing what you do. We are entrepreneurs as well. We are with the man here, and we work for a startup. And we are just fun about SpaceX. I'm sorry. And we would love you to invite us in your management control room. So if you can do that, you'll be the greatest.
Although you're
All right. Well, anyone that's interested in seeing a rocket launch, it's actually pretty easy to see.
You don't need to pay for it. Come to you.
There will be a lot of rocket launches this year. Sorry? Yeah, hopefully. You don't need any permission from SpaceX or anything. Just look at the SpaceX website and head there whenever you want. The best place to look at it is on the causeways at Cape Canaveral. No, we can't. You can't come in the mission control room. No, even within SpaceX, it's very limited. Maybe three more questions.
Please, about SpaceX.
And I'm not answering SpaceX questions.
Personal question is it true that you are so much afraid of artificial intelligence that you can't sleep at night? Or you say that somewhere? Or it's more just a warning about
I have had occasional sleepless nights worrying about artificial intelligence, but most of the time, if I have a sleepless night, it's because of work-related stress. I just think we need to be careful about artificial intelligence and not assume it's going to be good. One can certainly envision futures where it's good, but also ones where it is not. So really, it's just about being cautious and not assuming too much.
Personal question.
Are you running away?
Okay.
Last one,
Queen's University.
Elon, please.
You may. It will be possible to find a supercharger on Mars.
Impossible is not French.
Oh, Mars, the supercharger on Mars. I hope we have superchargers on Mars. That class problem. All right. Tesla-related questions. three more, and then we'll have to leave. We have stuff.
Lady who wants a question.
And please ask a question you think that really a lot of people want to know about.
You met with our Ministry of Finance, I guess earlier today. I'm sure he asked you for pieces of advice. Anything you could share with us on what you told him?
Yeah, fair enough. Like I said, actually, I think he's a very smart guy and very well read and thoughtful. Like, I would say one of the best politicians I've met anywhere. Yeah, so this is for Macron, the finance minister. What did I have to say to the finance minister when I met with him today? So I think, first of all, I think he's I was very impressed that he's a really smart, well-read guy. And really cares about France, like a lot. We talked about the fact that there's effectively every gasoline car is subsidized by the fact that it is not paying for the carbon dioxide and sulfur oxide and nitrous oxide pollution that it creates. So every gasoline car is effectively subsidized by the public good. So then one of the two things need to happen, because fundamentally the role of government is that of rulemaker, of regulator. They're the referee and they set the rules of the game. The best thing would be to put a tax on carbon, and everyone in the economics industry profession, I think, who has read about the subject would agree that a carbon tax is a sensible thing to do. Or if you can't get that, then to match the subsidy that gasoline cars get, match that on electric cars. Otherwise, it's a very uneven playing field. He seems to take that to heart, from what I can tell. We'll see what happens. He was also very keen to understand where exactly Tesla might be placing a factory.
Yes.
And if there were any obstacles to establishing a factory in France, you know. Yeah. I gave him some candid feedback, but that's part of a private conversation.
One question. Can you comment Apple's strategy on EV?
No.
What's your view on Apple coming in? Because you've been the first one. We know that somebody else is going to come in. How is it?
Yeah. I think it's great that Apple's doing an electric car. They have a lot of money. They have a lot of electronics expertise. I think it will be a while before they can bring something to market, because they're used to outsourcing production, and there is no good way to outsource production for cars.
And what about Faraday Future? Do you think it's Apple?
No, Faraday Future is not Apple. In the US, there are 4 China-funded EV startups at the $1 billion plus level. So it's Faraday, Ativa, NextEV, and Karma, formerly called Fusco. So it is definitely quite a lot of competition. But our focus is not on what are competitors doing. Really, what do we need to do to make our cars as compelling as possible? That's really what matters. If we make great cars that people love, then things will be fine. And if other car companies make great cars that people love, they'll be fine too.
To come back on Tesla, would you redesign Model S like front design of Model X? No.
One comment on future anything like that. Right. Sorry, and the very last question, and then I'm going to go.
Interact with the car, but the voice control doesn't work unless you speak with American accent.
Oh, seriously?
Good question.
Oh, okay. That's very fixable. I didn't even realize that was an issue. Okay, being able to issue voice commands in French. Yeah, I think that's probably something we can fix fairly quickly. I'll take note of that and talk to the team next week.
All right.